Good evening, America. Shane Jenkins with Chestnut Checkers here with live with episode number 10. We have Ginger Snap, Jenny Cudd, fellow Texan, also a pardoned January 6er here in the house with well, not in the house, in her house, but tuning in and going to join us for the show tonight. How are you doing, Jenny? Oh no. Can you hear me? We're
Yes,
have
Shane, I can. Sorry, I live out in the boonies,
It's okay.
and Elon has not fixed my Starlink yet.
It's okay. You still got dial up. It's fine. It's all good. So we are happy. This is the 10th episode of Chestnut Checkers, and who would have thought that I would come on the show dressed like Randy the Macho Man Savage with my. This is actually my patriotic. These are my Blenders 4th of July edition and my 4th of July hat. So I'm getting ready to celebrate the 4th and watch the left cry about it, because they hate America. And this is the real No King's Day is the 4th of July, and so they don't really understand that we overthrew the monarchy in Europe on the 4th of July, 1776. So, but yeah, it's awesome to have you with us. I've been talking to you. We've been in contact, and I'm looking forward to hearing your story. And you're a ray of sunshine, and it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you, Shane. I love being on your show. I think it's fantastic. I'm glad you're doing this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's fun, and we are going to have a special. I mean, when I say special, I mean special guest. Enrique Tario is coming later on. He will be popping in and out, and so shout out to Maurice, my roommate, producing on the fly. I give him like a 20-minute heads up. Hey, we're going to go live and do a show tonight. So, and he's like, oh my god, he's running around trying to put out fires and get everything set up. So shout out to him. So I just want to kind of hear, you've got a lot going on, but definitely want to hear your January 6th story and kind of give us. I want to know who Jenny Cudd was before, because you and I have talked in depth, but I don't know if the American people have really heard your story. And we're going long form interview, so this thing can go as long as you want to talk. I've gone up to like an hour and 45 minutes, but we have 2 hours allotted for the show, so it can be as short as you want it to be too. But I want to hear kind of like where you grew up. I guess you grew up in West Texas, but I want to hear like when you got politically involved and kind of how you got into all that. So I want to give you the floor and let you take off.
Awesome. Thank you. So I was born and raised in Lubbock, and I went to my first protest when I was 5 years old outside
Wow.
of the Planned Parenthood clinic in Lubbock, which is
Wow.
no longer there. And so I could say that, thankfully my parents raised me to get involved in politics at an early age, and I'm super grateful for that. I think people should absolutely take their kids to go protest.
I'm assuming they were Christians and it was a pro-life protest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And so it really cracked me up when after the Capitol, there were a lot of people that were like, oh, Jenny's just trying to get attention for protesting, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I've literally been protesting my entire life. I call it one of my spiritual gifts is protesting.
Right.
And you could ask my husband, Doug, about that too. Okay. Because I protest him plenty.
That makes sense.
Anyway, we might get way off topic here tonight. So I've always been involved in politics. I got involved as a state delegate early on. Had a really exciting life. Moved to New York City by myself when I was 18, moved to Italy by myself when I was 21. Grateful that neither one of those things worked out so I could come back to God's country, which is not Florida, it's Texas. And so, yeah, I've just always been involved in politics. I think it's important for everybody to be involved in politics because they are involved in you in every single aspect of your life. And I think it's our duty, especially as Christians, to suit up and show up and be the ones that actually lead the direction of where our culture goes and where our society goes in every single aspect. I'm passionate about many things, but I would kind of boil it down to I'm a freedom activist. And
so let me ask you a question. So your parents brought you up protesting from the age of 5. That's incredible. And then you moved off on your own and you moved to Italy on your own. Like what? And I mean, I feel that like my daughter, I got to go, I think, and we've talked about it. we got to go tour her college up in Montana. And, her mom's like, don't let her, tell her not to move that far away. And part of me is like, okay, if I've got to go rescue you or help you, you're like 20 hours away. But also, like, I embrace like that, just the adventure of just like grabbing life by the nuts and just going for it. Like, and it's just,
Yes.
Italy seems like you just cut that parachute and you just like shot out across the ocean. I can't imagine what was that like living in Italy as a young lady?
Oh, it was fantastic. I was 21, and Italy has all of the most amazing magical things in the world, like scenery and art and men and wine and food. And it was wonderful. Wonderful. Um, I worked for 2 different Italian families that actually, it's funny with the line of work that I'm in now, because the 2 families that I worked for were in hospitality. And so they had restaurants and hotels and vacation rentals and all of that kind of stuff. And I was the only American that lived in the little town I lived in, which was off the coast of Tuscany. And I was there for 2 years. And that was back when we had like Nokia, Motorola cell phones.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
in Italy, you have to go to the internet cafe in order to use the internet. And it was so much simpler back then. It was fantastic.
Right, you can be out of pocket very easily. And was it beautiful? Were you is that on the coast, I'm wondering, or is that?
Yes, on the
Okay.
coast of Tuscany, about 45 minutes south of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, in a little town
wow.
called Cecina.
Okay.
It was
So that
awesome.
sounds like how long did you stay there?
I was there for 2 years,
Okay.
from when I was 21 until I was 23. And then, crazy story, I wound up getting a fungus from a fish I ate that had not been properly cooked.
Oh no.
And that fungus has a 98% mortality rate.
What?
Way, way higher than COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for
And
sure.
if you inhale it, it kills you instantly. If you ingest it, then it takes a while to eventually get to your brain and kill you. And so that's why I wound up moving home. I was 23 years old, because of that fungus. It ate a third of the nerves in my body. I developed osteoporosis
Oh
at
no.
23. And right before I moved back to Texas, it had broken through the blood-brain barrier and my head was starting to swell.
Oh no.
So it's all God business that I made it through that deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was calling you home. So thank God you came home. And so
Yes.
that was in your 20s, and I guess you were 23 then. So what, you're like 26 now. So that was right before January 6th, I'm assuming. Is that's how that went?
You're so precious, Shane. I'm 41 now.
Okay.
Always had an exciting life. So yeah, I got super involved in politics in Midland and wound up running for mayor of Midland,
Oh wow.
which was a fantastic learning opportunity. And I think everybody should have to run for office, because it's not fun at all if you're actually running for office.
Yeah.
And so I ran against the 2-term incumbent, who had signed up for a 3rd term, and nobody was going to run against him. And I wasn't going to let him walk away with it.
Right.
And then also the big Baptist preacher of megachurch in town. And I could tell you that I won both debates, both live televised, live audience, public debates.
Do you have that? Do you have that video? You should have sent it to me. That would have been.
I do have it somewhere. I need to pull that out, because it's all quite entertaining to me now, knowing what I know after the Capitol and everything. But yeah, I mean, I just believe that you should be involved. And so I have been in some capacity or another since the beginning.
Right. No, and that's people ask me, do you have something to say? And I always tell people, like, and Benjamin Franklin said it, I guess. So he said that you have a republic if you can keep it. And I believe that keeping it is an action. It's something that you have to be actively involved in, whether it's running for office or working for somebody who is, or, working the polls at election, like whatever it is, watching ballots, whatever part you play in that, running for city council, running for school board, running for dog catcher, whatever that is. I think you just have to be involved. And so, I like that. I mean, you're somebody that I could look up to. I'm new to this. I got involved in 2020, so that was my first time to ever vote or do anything like that. I was even interested in voting was in 2020 due to COVID and
Mhm.
the oil field getting shut. I was actually working in West Texas whenever COVID hit, and then prior to that, I guess OPEC and OPEC Plus had a price war, and they basically shut down the oil field overnight. And then 2 weeks after that, COVID hit, and so that really impacted my life. And that was kind of when, I watched while I was in prison, watched President Trump get persecuted from 2016, and I got out of prison in 2018. But I really saw that there was some kind of, I didn't know, I couldn't really identify it, and I didn't have access to a lot of the information or the internet until I got out. But I really was like, what is? And he talks about taking down the deep state, and I didn't ever take him like, I didn't take that as unserious. I felt like he was doing something, and I felt like there was forces aligned against him. I couldn't quite see how they were arrayed against him or who was pulling the strings or was motivated to do that. I just knew that both sides kind of hated him. And so, but yeah, no, so go ahead. So you've been involved for a long time in politics, and then if I'm not mistaken, you were kind of involved with this property prior to January 6th, is that right or no?
Oh, no. I was in Midland.
Okay.
And I'm glad that you joined the fun back in 2020, because 2020 was the most fun year ever. I absolutely loved it. I used to have a flower shop in Midland. I had it for 8.5 years. And in 2020, I either organized or co-facilitated 7 different protests in Midland against the government,
Oh, wow.
city, county, state, and federal. And I mean, it was everything. It was so much fun. Like to get business owners to show up at a Tuesday morning city council meeting at 9 a.m. when we're not allowed to sit inside next to each other or anything, and we're all carrying signs and nobody's wearing a mask, and we're all sitting next to each other and everybody gets up to speak. 2020 was amazing. And, just like with everything that happens that can appear to be tragic or horrible, there's always a bright side to it. And I think 2020 is what woke up a whole lot of people when they started realizing, when we were forced to sit down and shut up for 2 weeks to slow the spread, or to close our businesses or whatever, because my business was not considered essential by the governor of Texas, even though I had 8 women that worked for me.
It wasn't a strip club, or a bar. Those are essential, right, for society to function. Or a church or a flower shop. Now, those are not really that important.
Right. That's right, because the strip clubs are open.
Yeah, everybody loves boobies. I mean, those are. I can't breathe if I can't see boobies, right? So, I mean,
right. And then when you die, you need flowers at your funeral, so that makes us essential.
Right. Totally. There you go. Yeah. Right, that makes sense. Okay. So I mean, I can't imagine a more motivated group of people though than business owners that are getting like destroyed by these policies that are they're just like 6 feet. There's no medical science, so like there's nothing to that. Masks are ridiculous, and then there's just I haven't. That's one. If I have one sore subject point, and it's with President Trump, it's about the handling of COVID, maybe the warp speed and all that stuff. And we haven't really addressed it. I'm kind of like waiting for the opportunity for him to come back and talk about that. But go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No. And so it was, gosh, I can't say how much fun 2020 was. Like, it was nonstop. I'm going to buy poster board and markers and, making signs and megaphones and all kinds of stuff. And I think that there were so many people that woke up in that. I also think that 2020, with the Summer of Love riots and people, burning down the country and actually killing cops and all of that kind of stuff, all over a thug who overdosed on fentanyl. And seeing that those people didn't go to prison, it was almost like, oh, well, maybe you can get away with anything. Why aren't those people going to prison? That's not right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's still an election in November. And so I think all of those things came together and made the perfect storm, the perfect melting pot for what wound up being January 6th, and especially how the media viewed us from being there.
No, for sure. Well, and I think about like they had hotlines if you had too large of a family gathering that they would report you, but they weren't shutting down those protests. And it's ridiculous to me that now don't get me wrong, I used to frequent the strip club and all that stuff, but like seriously, you're going to allow people to gather at a strip club, but you won't allow them to gather at a church? And then it really upsets me, the pastors who bent the knee and were like, okay, I respect the ones who were like, you know what, we don't care what they say, or the gyms that stayed open are like, we don't care about the fine, we're staying open. This is helping people stay healthy. This is good for people's mental health. We don't care. Like we're not, and I think there's kind of across the board, you saw that even into the Biden term, like they're created this whole group of like this guerrilla media, like podcasting and all these different things that kind of popped up as a result of these different government overreach or this tyrannical behavior by the government. It kind of created these pockets of people who are willing to stand up for your business or for whatever it was. And I like you said, if you look for the silver lining, I thank God for that.
Absolutely. And I don't think that you can harp enough on the cowardice of preachers during 2020. I went toe to toe with a handful of preachers in Midland over the 2020, them choosing to shut down, a place of worship over a respiratory virus or anything, quite frankly, right? Anything at all, in my opinion, is not a justification for shutting down the church. And the handful of people across the country that did stand up, to me, are the actual leaders, the people that actually understand and have a real relationship with Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. Because like my favorite pastor is a guy named Troy Brewer out of Burleson, Texas.
Okay.
And he decided not to shut down his church. And instead, he built inside of the sanctuary, he built this temple because then in the Bible, it says that the elders get together and pray over the sick. And so he built this temple inside of the sanctuary of the church and then put out a call and invited everybody in Burleson, which is awfully close to Dallas, right? DFW area, that had COVID to come to their church.
Oh, wow.
That's how it should be, right? To come and get prayed over, to come and get healed, like to come and get ministered to, all of those kinds of things. And so to me, people that stand up in that capacity are true heroes, and they got plenty of blowback, right? Plenty of blowback for it.
For sure. No, and I think that it also, I mean, if you think about I forget what you call it, whenever you get exposed to a germ and then your body processes it and creates antibodies. Yeah, I mean, herd immunity. Yeah, you're also promoting herd immunity, which is, I mean, I'm not a rocket surgeon or a mathematometrist or anything or a doctor or anything else, but I mean, I know how herd immunity works.
A mathematometrist. That sounds inappropriate. Love it.
Yeah, but I mean, and I do thank God for those people. And we were the version, I believe, not that there was an insurrection or anything like that, but we were willing to stand up in a different capacity for January 6th and the different things. I think that those are the people that I believe we should be listening to, the people in those different arenas, whether it's the pastor or the business owner or there's a lady, I don't remember her name, but this talks about she had a hair salon and she kept it open and was getting fined. The gym owner who stayed open, or whoever it is, like
Shelley Luther.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah,
Luther. That's who that is.
I have 2 kids that live in Burleson, by the way, so that's really South Fort Worth. But yeah, that's definitely home right there.
So Shelley Luther is also a great example because she wouldn't shut down her hair salon, right? And that caused a huge stink. And then after all the 2020 stuff was over, she ran for office for Texas representative and lost. But then she ran for office again and won.
Okay.
And now she is in the House of Representatives at the Texas Capitol, actually getting to do something about government tyranny.
Golly, they need all the help they can get over there in Austin. Good Lord, I don't know. It's enough for me to keep up with federal federal politics. It's very difficult for I know Texas is a mess, and it's concerning to me. But thank God they got somebody like her that's willing to stand up and lose everything, to stand against tyrannical overreach by the freaking government. Good Lord.
Absolutely.
So you voted. I'm assuming you voted in 2020.
I have never missed an election. I've missed one county election, period, since I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Never missed state or federal election ever.
Well, let me ask you this then. So okay, there's some votes you probably cast, like in retrospect. Give me some of your least favorite votes that you've made, whether it was like John Cornyn or Ted Cruz and maybe, I don't know if I guess you've probably always been a Republican, maybe George W. If you voted for, who was your least favorite vote
I could totally
yeah, go ahead.
Answer this. So I've been voting since I was 3 years old because my mother would take me to the polls with her, right? And she would point at which bubble I was supposed to fill in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So again, get your kids involved in politics, okay?
There you go.
And so I've been voting since I was 3. And I can tell you some of the things that I regret the most out of my entire life, all 41 years, is when I was 8 years old, I ran a phone bank helping get George H.W., trying to get him reelected when I was 8, calling people and asking them to vote for Big Bush.
Oh, no.
When I was 20, I was a state delegate trying to get George W. Bush reelected. I regret that. And one time I had to vote for Mitt Romney.
Oh, wow.
Because that's who we put up.
Oh, yeah. God.
And to me, the Mitt Romney vote is probably my most grievous vote.
Mittens Romney.
Mm-hmm.
What's up? We got a Noble one, Enrique Tarrio.
Can't stand that guy. But yeah, John Cornyn.
Wait, me?
I would vote for Tarrio. I know that.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you can't. I can't stand Enrique either. But I didn't see.
Yeah. Sorry, I popped in at the perfect time. But Jenny, love being with you on the show. It's truly an honor. Everything that you've done has been so amazing, and from the J6 family, I personally have to thank you.
Thank you.
But I popped in here because I heard the George Bush, and I also, that's when I started. I helped get George W. Bush reelected in 2004, and I was a door knocker, and I also had to eat the shit sandwich and knock on doors from I actually, another Texan. I worked for Ron Paul during that election, and after they stole it from him,
yes.
I did have to switch camps, and I did have to work for the McCain campaign, and I did have to work for the Romney campaign. So those are all three things that I regret terribly. But at the same time, it was a team sport. It was either Obama or McCain.
Yeah.
So
close tie right there.
That's how it had to work. Yeah, dude, it was bad.
I am so sorry you had to go through that, Enrique.
Well, that's interesting to me because I had no idea that either one of you had such a past of a history of dealing. I thought, I'm kind of blind. I'm like, 2020, everybody just became political all of a sudden. That's not the case at all.
No, actually, the first time, and that I actually, my activism started before that. The first time I was ever put in handcuffs, first time ever in my life being put in handcuffs, and I got put in handcuffs because I threw tear gas back at cops, was in 1999. I was 15 years old. And during the Elian Gonzalez protest, when Janet Reno came and took him at gunpoint, us Cubans got rowdy, and the protests happened right on the same block where I currently live. And I went out there. I was a little shit. I was trying to cause trouble. I did have political lean, and I didn't understand politics too much. I saw them take him at gunpoint, and I was born here. And I'm like, well, wait, hold on. I might get deported too. So yeah. So but yeah, it is. And so it's funny that me and Jenny share that we did help. With Texans, it's a hit or miss. You know, you get Ron Paul, you get George Bush,
Ugh.
Ross Perot.
you get Jenny, like the good Texan.
There
Shane
you go.
actually flipped around. You get Shane, the horrible Texan, and you get Jenny.
I mean, I will say I have been a horrible Texan up until about 2020. I had, 4 trips to prison once as a juvenile, and so I do tell people that I took this country for granted. That's why I'm all gung ho. Like 4th of July, I did take my freedom in this country for granted for many, many years, and I appreciate you guys being involved and serving. And I think that's the most. That is like like they say, Filipino tilt-a-whirl operators are the backbone of this nation. But people who are involved in politics are the people that serve and people that get out there at the cost of themselves and their time and their money and their efforts, like to get out there and serve a campaign or to work alongside somebody or have faith in somebody and knock on a door and say, hey, you need to go out and support this candidate, or we need to get out here and vote for this proposition or vote against this one or whatever it is. That is how you get it done. Like the boots on the ground, the people in the trenches doing the hard work. It's easy to get up here behind a microphone and talk. It's the hard part is walking out there on the sidewalk, beating on people's door and all that, I believe.
Yeah, no, it is. It's grueling work, and that's who gets people elected, the door knockers and the poll workers.
For sure.
Who put rebel scum under my name? Was that the Puerto Rican?
That's how you get in.
Oh, I thought that was Rebels S with the my bad.
All right, I'm gonna stop the podcast.
I need to go get my sunglasses and a hat because I'm gonna get.
I thought that was a typo.
It's a necessary thing here at the War Boys Studios. I'll be popping in and out of here. I'm printing some shirts. Thank you guys. Thank you,
All right,
Jenny.
brother. Love you, man.
Love you too, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
So my roommate's gonna put the space back in there now. So we were at I'm trying.
I gotta tell you, this is a perfect segue. I'm gonna tell you my Proud Boy story.
Okay,
how I met Proud Boys.
Let's go for it.
So 4th of July 2020, President Trump had the salute to our troops, like 4th of July party, right, in DC. And the Midland Chamber of Commerce, right, communist run organization, just like all Chamber of Commerces are, decided that respiratory virus was too scary to celebrate Independence Day from a tyrannical government. And so they shut down all of the Midland 4th of July party. And so I go to DC because I'm going to celebrate the country somewhere, right? And I actually went with my gay friend, Cody. Okay. So we go to DC.
Hold on a second. They shut down a Midland celebration of 4th of July. So you go with your gay friend to DC to celebrate the 4th of July. It sounds like it should be the other way around, but go ahead.
Yes. So here's where the Proud Boys come in. So, there's BLM and Antifa everywhere, beating up people, like all the chaos, everything. And we're sitting at the little restaurant outside of the Willard Intercontinental Hotel, which is that closest hotel to the White House. And it's on the 4th of July, like in the morning sometime. And all of a sudden, we see this horde of men wearing black and yellow walk by.
Yes.
And I'm with my gay friend, Cody, right?
Yeah.
And so he's obviously not going to protect me against BLM and Antifa.
Right.
And so I see this horde of black and yellow guys walk by, and I said, we're going to walk with them. So we get up from the table and we start like scampering behind them like little mice. Finally catch up to the last guy, and I wish I knew who it was. And I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, excuse me, sir, is this a motorcycle club? Because they're all wearing cuts and everything, right? And they've got patches and all this stuff. I'm like, is this a motorcycle club? And he looks at me and he goes, no, ma'am, this is a gentleman's drinking club. And I said, oh, well, that sounds lovely. Can we walk with you?
Hell yeah.
And so Cody and I stuck with Proud Boys the entire night. We go all the things, the fireworks, all the stuff. There's Antifa everywhere. Everybody winds up over at Harry's, and it was so exciting. And so then after the stolen election, I went to the first Million MAGA March. And is that a hammer? Are you scratching your back with a hammer?
Oh, it's a tomahawk. Sorry. It's actually one of the tomahawks. My back was itching. Sorry.
Why did you tell me to bring props? I didn't know it was a show where we get to bring props and stuff. So
I mean, it's show and
it's
tell.
ridiculous.
It's show and tell. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
So anyway, I went back to DC for the first Million MAGA March in November. I think it was November 13th of 2020. It was like 1 or 2 weeks after the election. And same thing, BLM and Antifa everywhere. And so I found wherever the Proud Boys were, which was usually at Harry's, and just followed them around because I at least felt safe being around them.
Right.
So then I missed the December protest, and I wasn't going to go back for January 6th. Mid-December was when President Trump put out, be in DC on January 6th. It'll be wild.
Yeah, we'll be wild.
And it was. And
well, so hold on a second. Let's back up a little bit. We're getting a little bit. So you voted obviously November 3rd, right? Or did you vote early in Texas or?
Oh, I never vote early.
Okay.
Ever. I think it's blasphemous.
Okay.
No, I vote on election day.
Okay. I did vote early. So but it was my first time to ever do it. So I didn't.
It's okay, Shane. You're new.
I figured they always said if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. So I figured be early, right?
See, the Democrats say vote early and vote often.
Right. Yeah.
And we get in trouble for saying things like that.
Sure.
I say vote on.
Well, so you voted election day. Then you watched. I mean, so give me a window into that. Like, what was that like watching it go down? Did you see? I mean, were you like? Did you believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes?
No, absolutely not. And I stayed up for it. Like I have always stayed up until an election was called.
Right.
And it was at 2:30 in the morning, Texas time, the famous jump, right? Where Trump is up and
yep, the vertical
all of a sudden
line.
Biden jumps over him. And yeah. And I can't remember how late I stayed up that time because it was so horrifying. But I was so involved in all of the different lawsuits and all the constitutional options that we had, so involved in all of that stuff. And so I used to do every single day after the stolen election until January 6th, the night of January 6th. I would do a Facebook Live video at some point in the day. And it's only for my handful of, friends and family or whatever. I think I had 4,500 followers on Facebook, right? No big deal. And I would just do these little snippets about this lawsuit and what's going on in Michigan and blah, all the different stuff, right? And that is what got me in trouble on January 6th was going live on Facebook. That's how they got me.
Oh, no. Facey space. Got you.
Yes. I think we should go back to MySpace. It's so much better than anything else. It was just.
I never could figure out how to operate MySpace. Yeah. No. Well, so they actually they confirmed, I guess, in your federal indictment and stuff that's how they tracked you down was through Facebook Live or whatever.
No, but I'll fast forward to that. So let's get to January 6th, okay?
Yeah, for sure. You're driving. Yeah, I'm just riding.
This is your circus.
Right.
So when I realized that it was the one and only time that President Trump had ever said to be somewhere, that's when I decided that I probably needed to go back to DC for what would be 3 times in 7 months. Because he's never said, come to my rally or go to this event or whatever. And he said, be in DC, it'll be wild. And so I went back to DC, and my husband had bought me for Christmas a bulletproof hoodie.
Wow, bulletproof hoodie. That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. I need one of those. Maybe
So it's like all
in Houston,
bulletproof
you got to have
and
one of those.
Oh, in Houston, you need it for sure. You're quite a bit bigger than me, so it probably won't fit you. But so it's got all the bulletproofness, and then in the hoodie part, that is also bulletproof.
Oh wow.
And because he knew all of the Antifa BLM stuff,
Yeah.
right? And so I went to DC, got there on the 5th, and went down to Freedom Plaza with everybody else and heard all the speakers and everything, and then got up crazy early on the 6th and went over to the Lips and stayed there until President Trump was done talking, and then ran back to the hotel, staying at the Willard Intercontinental again, which I won't stay at again because they voluntarily submitted my room service receipt to the feds. Isn't that stupid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, the first piece of discovery in my case is a receipt for room service on the 5th saying that I ordered a lobster roll. Like that's super, super legitimate.
That
So
sounds
stupid.
really good actually.
It was great. Did you not eat before this?
No.
I'll
I'm drinking coffee right now, so
I'll cook you supper
I'm down with that.
on Friday. So anyway, like the way I described January 6th was it was the most beautiful patriotic thing that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And I personally did not ever see any destruction of property, violence, anything like that, except from police towards protesters.
Mm.
And so I was live streaming all the way, Facebook Live all the way down to the Capitol and everything. And then got down there and my phone wouldn't work and all of that. And all of the barricades and fencing, everything was gone by the time I got there. Like not stacked up on the sides, but completely gone out of sight.
Wow.
And seeing all of the old people and people in walkers and wheelchairs being carried up the steps of the Capitol so they could go inside, and seeing the families with small children. And I talk about that all the time because I went inside, I went up the scaffolding and went through the West Terrace door, which is the one that was opened by police officers, and they were motioning people inside, and walked past 2 police officers on each side. And one of them said to the guy in front of me, "I don't agree with what you're doing, but I respect it."
Mm.
Meaning our right to protest.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And so that West Terrace door goes straight up into the Capitol Rotunda. And there were already at least 1,000 people inside by the time I got in there.
Mm.
And the first thing I saw was a prayer circle.
Mm.
And everybody in that prayer circle was wearing tactical gear and helmets.
I think that was the
And
oath,
I didn't
that
know.
Oath Keepers, right? I believe that's who that was. Yeah.
And I didn't know that until like 2 or 2.5 years later,
Mm.
that's who that was. And I've been to a whole bunch of those guys, their sentencings,
Yeah.
And so I joined that, and then, everybody's singing the national anthem and like all the old hymns and like everything patriotic. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was lovely. And the families inside that are pointing out the paintings in the rotunda, is that for me or for your producer?
No, it's for my producer. So, it's fine.
Shane's saying I need to speed up the story.
No, you're fine. No, absolutely not. No, I was just telling I just heard a door shut, so it's fine. It's not a big deal.
Okay. The ladies are coming over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Randy the Macho Man Savage needs the ladies, right? That's what. Oh yeah.
So the families that are pointing to their children, like the paintings in the rotunda and the statues in Statuary Hall, and like explaining the history of our country to their kids, and I remember growing up like that, right? I remember thanking every veteran that I ever saw and going to all the parades and, seeing the old men stand up and salute and all of that stuff. And And so I wandered around in the rotunda and then went to Statuary Hall for a while, always within the velvet ropes. And then was in some hallways. And I wound up being in the hallway above where Ashley Babbitt was murdered by Capitol Police Officer Lieutenant Michael Byrd. And people were coming out with blood on their hands saying they killed a girl. And I thought, okay, things are changing. It's probably time to go. And so I exited out the east side of the Capitol, past police officers on both sides, through an open door, just like I'd come in, and hung out on the east side for a while. That's where I ran into Brandon Strock with Walkaway and totally fangirled over him.
Well,
he didn't remember me from Adam until I tracked him down after we were all, in our cases and everything.
Yeah.
And came around the side of the building back to the west side and was just, I didn't want to leave. Didn't really feel like I was helping anything, but didn't want to leave. There was something about it, and then the police started, like the whole thing was just tear gassed and smoked out and all of that stuff when they were, I guess, regaining the scaffolding area.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd been protesting for, I think, 12 hours at that point. And as you know, the high that day was 22 degrees. And so I thought, okay, it's time to go. And so I turned and started walking back towards the Willard. And I looked over my shoulder one time. And the whole Capitol's covered in smoke. And it was like in that moment, I knew what they were going to do with that. How bad it was going to be. That they were going to take that and use it all against us. And they did. So anyway, I go back to the steps of the Willard and I sit down and I start doing a Facebook Live video, just like I'd done every single day since November. And I'm just telling people, thinking it's just the people I'm talking to that are my friends, just telling them what I experienced, that day. And I can tell you this, it is the only time ever that I have drank on camera. Okay. And I've got a tall Coors Light.
Coors Light.
As redneck as it gets in my hands. And my eyes are bloodshot and I'm crying and everything and I'm cussing. And my mom had always told me, don't cuss on camera. It was so awful, Shane. Shane, I know you don't believe this now, but back in the day, I used to be a beauty pageant queen. Okay. How times have changed.
I don't doubt that.
Now I hang out with goats and chickens and felons, and that's my thing.
I mean, those are some cute goats for sure.
Thank you.
I don't know about the felons.
And you're a cute
but...
felon. So there we go.
That's the thing. I was wondering. Thanks.
Anyway, so I'm sitting down, I'm doing this video, and it's 27 minutes long. And somebody took a 1-minute clip out of it where I had especially bombastic language. That's what my lawyer called it. And they put that 1-minute clip on Twitter, and it got 7 million views in 2 days.
Oh, geez.
Okay. And in that clip, I'm saying, right, because we all had a real big mouth until we saw how much our mouth would be used against us, right? We all said dumb stuff that day at some point because emotions are so high.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And in that clip, I said, hell yes, we stormed the Capitol. We broke down Nancy Pelosi's door. There's a guy sitting with his, feet up on her desk, flipping off the camera. That's Bigo Barnett, who I adore, at his sentencing hearing. And so the liberals, the idiots, thought, well, look at this fool. She's confessing to her crimes. Like, we've got them. And just like you guys, right? I was the tip of the spear too. It was like 1,600 tips of the spear.
We were all together. You were the worst. I was the worst. Big O was the worst.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody was the worst.
Enrique, who wasn't even there, was the worst, obviously. So stupid.
Yeah.
So stupid.
And
So
so,
anyway,
is the Willard? Is that the one with the lions on out front? Is that where that is, or I can't remember. I got trapped in a hotel, and they have these big lions, and I can't remember what hotel
I
it is. I
don't
don't
think it
know.
has lines out front. No, it's got that big covered like carport, a little restaurant. It's right next to the White House, like the closest one by the
Oh, okay.
JW Marriott.
Okay, I was at the
Like,
I was over by the White House as well. They said I was in enemy territory is where I was at. But anyways, sorry, I was just trying to figure out what that
oh,
was.
you might have been. Were you back like behind Lafayette Park?
I was at the Sofitel, yeah, right there, literally like 2 blocks from the White House,
Okay, yeah, you were on enemy territory on the
Yeah.
other side.
which I didn't know till after the fact, but whatever. So you, so they extrapolated a bombastic minute of your, and that
My
was
mouth.
a traumatic. I mean, that was a like you've seen I think you may have seen the video where one of the guys that I met was singing a song from Les Mis, and it's a beautiful
Duh.
song about. Have you seen it?
Yeah, empty
Yeah.
chairs and empty tables.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and that was like that. Like summed up my day. We're all crying by the end of that song, and we knew Ashley had been murdered. And it was a traumatic experience, and obviously, we, but other than knowing, like, other than we all saw the Fulton County pulling the ballots from underneath the table. We saw the more more voters than were registered to vote, voting in counties. We saw, like this, you said, the vertical spike on the ballot count, like 100,000 straight votes, whatever it was for Joe Biden, which is statistically impossible. We saw all these things. We saw the switching of one was Donald Trump, and then they switched it, and it was Joe Biden. It was like on the news. We saw all of that. So, like, not just that, but then now people are being hurt. People are, and you recognize the seriousness of the situation and what they were going to do. You kind of had an inkling of like, oh shit, this is going to get bad. And little did we know it was going to get bad. And so they took that. And then did you go home the next morning, or there was a curfew that night? And I guess you got locked in your hotel, I'm assuming.
I didn't, but I was so exhausted. Like, I never checked social media or the news or anything that night. Like, after I did that Facebook Live and talked to Doug, then I just went to bed because I had the first flight out in the morning. So I had to leave at like 4 a.m. from the hotel. And thank God. I mean, that's all a God thing too, right?
Yeah.
And Doug and I had a business meeting up in Oklahoma. And so I flew from DC to Oklahoma. And when I landed and turned my phone back on, the first thing that popped up was from a Democrat who hates me in Midland.
Mm.
And she sent me a news article about me. Right.
Fresh off the presses.
Being a Capitol rioter. And she's like, you better be careful, Jenny. And this lady hates my guts, right?
Yeah.
And then I start getting the death threats and the phone calls, and they start contacting my family, and it's nonstop comments and like on and on and on. And so I'm starting to realize on January 7th, like this is going to be real bad. Like, this is way past blown out of proportion, right? This isn't just, I said something I shouldn't have said. Which I don't regret saying any of that anyway. This is going to be real bad. And so I walk out of the terminal, and Doug's waiting for me, and he looked horrible. And I said, what happened to you? Sorry. Because his beard went gray overnight.
Oh no.
Yeah. Doug didn't have gray hair before he met me, bless his heart.
Yeah. He was worried about you, and he loves you. Obviously.
And now he's pretty much all gray. And because he had an idea of that this was going to be real bad. Right. So within a couple hours, I had contacted and hired Marina Medvin out of DC, or out of Alexandria, Virginia. And she wound up being my lawyer through the whole thing. She's phenomenal. She is this teeny tiny human who is a legal immigrant from Ukraine. and a U.S. citizen, and she's a constitutional lawyer. And I mean, she is a beast, an absolute beast. So I'm Marina's only client that wasn't a real criminal. And then, because she used to represent like the FBI's 10 Most Wanted and like real bad guys.
Yeah.
And then after me, she had, I want to say, at least 8 other J6 clients, and really got passionate about us and helped a whole lot of people out.
Did she ever give you any perspective on
yeah,
that?
it
Like,
was.
did she ever give you any perspective on how, like, the ridiculousness of how they were going after us? Like, did she ever say anything about that? Or I'm sure she did, but
Yes, because she's so strict and by the book and like law, right?
mm-hmm.
And so every single thing that happened, she's like, no, this has never happened before. No, this has never happened before. No, this is a very common motion. Like, this is no big deal. This has never happened before. And so I think she was quite flabbergasted in the beginning, until she realized that none of that stuff actually applied to us, right? That rights don't apply, the law doesn't apply, like none of that stuff applied to January 6th defendants. So I'm going to speed it up because my case is like, by comparison, good Lord, shame. Like, my case is like My Little Pony.
Well, so what did what do they end up charging you with?
I'm like strawberry shortcake over here.
It's okay. Yeah.
They charged me with the 4 misdemeanors and the 1512 felony.
Okay.
And they did come and arrest me at my flower shop a week later. I'm number 67
Oh, wow.
to get arrested. I think Enrique has all of us beat since he was arrested before January 6th happened. So I think he counts as number 1, doesn't he? If you want to pop in, Enrique, now would be a good time for that.
No, I think Cleve was actually arrest number. They called him J6 number. I think his Twitter handle is J6 number 1, but we call him the first J7er because he actually missed January 6th, but he had like a trailer load full of like these high-powered, like beautiful firearms and ammunition and like all this stuff. But he was late. He got there the night of the January 6th, and then I think his family called the FBI on him, but he got arrested. He was actually, I think, the first one in the DC jail. But yeah, so
okay.
So they ran down on you at your flower shop with your scissors cutting the stems off of the roses, like.
Yeah, and that's how we all stand when we're cutting flowers, Shane. Just like that. You look so gay. So I must say, thanks to Enrique, I have learned how gay the J6 community really is.
Okay.
I'll tell you that much as it zooms in on your face.
Super gay right here. Like mostly like right in here.
So so yeah, they got me a week later, January 13th. Midland Police Department came to my flower shop. 8 police officers, full tactical gear, carrying long arms, and 2 attack dogs to get little old me. Jeez. When I know almost everybody in that town, right? I ran for mayor, for crying out loud, with police and fire as one of my platforms.
Well, and you didn't have any. Police. You didn't have any violent. That's the crazy thing. You had zero. Like me, okay, felon, been in trouble for violence before, like violence on January 6th. Okay, I get it. Maybe come down on me kind of hard, but like you had misdemeanors, you'd ran for office, you're known in the community. They could have easily called your attorney or called you and said, hey, come on down and talk to us. We have some questions for you. You may need to be prepared to post bond or whatever.
Yeah,
like they wanted that pop. They wanted that, oh, look, we got, Midland's worst domestic terrorists ever, right? Like Jenny Cudd.
That's right.
Ginger Snap Jenny Cudd going down, taking you downtown.
J6 Jenny. Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
So I did get in front of the magistrate judge that afternoon and was released on a PR bond. Of course, at the time I was only charged with the 2 misdemeanors. And then I was indicted like a week later and upcharged into the 4 misdemeanors and the 1512 felony. And I wound up taking a plea deal 10 months in.
They charged you. They arrested you. How long were you in jail? They kept you. They didn't give you bond, or they did give you bond. Maybe you said that and I missed it.
Just that day.
Okay, just that one day. Okay.
Yeah, just that day. So I took a plea deal for trespassing, which is a Class A misdemeanor. And, that moment, to segue kind of more into what it is that I'm doing now and how it started, that moment of trying to make that decision of, am I going to say that I'm guilty of something that I don't actually believe that I'm guilty of, right? Trespassing in the people's
Yeah.
house. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Or am I going to take it all the way to trial, as I have a right to,
Hmm.
and get convicted on all charges and get sent to prison? What should I do?
Right.
And that's no joke, making that decision, right?
No.
And I honestly believe that I made a deal with God in that moment, that if I got my consequences of January 6th over sooner, that I would use my voice to help educate people about what really happened that day, and to tell the stories of people who couldn't, either because they were dead or because all of your cases were open, right? And it wasn't safe for you to talk.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did for 2 years.
Well, I want to speak to that for a second too, because
So I wound up getting sentenced March of 22.
no, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
March of 22.
Yeah, March 22, I got sentenced to just 2 months probation and a $5,000 fine because my words hurt people. I thought Doug was going to walk out of the courtroom when Judge McFadden said that. He's like, normally I would just give you a $1,000 fine, but because your words hurt people, I'm going to give you a $5,000 fine. Isn't that stupid?
Words hurt, Jenny, you freaking bully.
Like a bunch of Karens around the country. So, right. Yeah. And my words that hurt people were the day after the Capitol when I did an interview, and somebody asked me, do you regret anything? Would you do it again? And I said, hell yes, I'd do it again, because I didn't do anything illegal. Right?
That's right.
Those are my words that had countless ripple effects throughout the country and hurting people. So Doug and I both had custom t-shirts made for court. Can I tell you about those?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had a shirt made that I changed into after I got sentenced.
Okay.
I didn't actually wear it in the courtroom. Okay. But it was like a campaign shirt, and it said Trump CUD 2024.
Oh, wow.
So that when we went outside to take pictures with the Capitol in the background after sentencing, that's what I had on.
That's awesome.
Doug did wear his custom t-shirt in the courtroom underneath his button-up collared shirt. And his said, hashtag Merrick Garland got Dirty Sanchez by a goat.
That's freaking funny. Why didn't he wear that over his shirt?
It was our first time being in court.
Yeah, first and hopefully last, right?
Yes.
Well, you don't want to mess up the plea deal. Like, we were going to take your plea, but with that t-shirt, we're going to take her into custody.
Yeah, not anymore. So I might need to see if Enrique can make me some of those Merrick Garland shirts.
Oh, that'd
He's
be
busy
good.
working right now. So many opportunities for him to jump in here.
I like
anyway, so after getting, because I had one of the lightest sentences too of January 6th, pretty close after I was sentenced, almost everybody went to prison, even if it was for 30 days or turn yourself in on the weekends or whatever kind of deal. And so I had a lot of survivor's guilt,
right,
with that, because I would have happily gone to prison. At the time, I wasn't married to Doug yet. I would have happily gone to prison so that you could have been home with your 5 kids, or so many of these guys could have been home with their wives and their kids and their businesses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so after I got off probation, which was May of 22, right? Because it's just 2 months probation. After I got off probation, I started thinking, what is it? How can we build something big enough to where we can house and feed and employ them when they get out of prison? Because everybody was going to go to prison, right? That's just, you're all going to get convicted. You're all going to prison. That's it.
Yeah.
and, you know, been part of all the other organizations, American Patriot Relief and Stand in the Gap and Patriot Mail Project and J6 News and like, you know, all the stuff and going around speaking all over the country, telling the stories of people that can't
Mm.
and getting people to write letters to you guys in prison and to pray for you and to put money on your commissary and like all of this different stuff, right? That was a driving force for a good long time.
Mm.
And I've been for, well, now we're at what, 3 years? 3 years of me talking about this concept of what is now J6 Road Home. How do we build something big enough to house and feed and employ them when they get out? Because we were all going to get screwed over,
Mhm.
right? And so, and I kind of mentioned this the other night on a Twitter space with you. Does that make me sound old that I still say Twitter instead of X?
No, I mean, I still call it. It's weird that it's just one. It's like X. It's kind of a weird thing. I like Twitter better, but whatever. No, it doesn't make you sound
What did
old.
you? Okay. I said this other night on a Twitter space with you about how I've always felt like not in any kind of bragging way at all, but that in some aspects I was like one chapter ahead of other J6ers, whether because your sentences were outrageous, you know, and you were going to have 3 years of probation once you got out of prison or whatever. And so, but what I did with that, because that's not anything special about me, right? There is no rhyme or reason as to why you got what you did and I got what I did, right? Or Enrique, good Lord, right? 22 years for not being president.
God knows what he's doing, though.
He does. He does. And I need to figure out a way to actually like word this where it doesn't sound like I'm going back and forth with it, but I haven't found those words yet. And so I feel a very strong sense of duty to not only get my shit together, right? Emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, like all of the things, but also to do what it is that I'm supposed to do so that I can help somebody else when that day comes. And so, you know, I talked to you about it the first time I met you, which was just the other day, actually. Not too long ago at the reunion.
Was that Memorial Day, right? Yeah.
Memorial Day, yeah. It's funny because I feel like I've known you for years.
No, for real.
From social media and Twitter spaces and interviews and, you know, hearing
Yeah.
you speak. And I feel the same way about Enrique and like, you know, so many of you guys. But I have wanted to live in the Texas Hill Country since I was 8 years old. And I've been coming here since I was 8 years old. And I've been looking at real estate here since I was 8 years old. And I finally got to move here when I was 39. And God figured it out, you know, and it's literally my dream come true to get to be where I'm at, because I come from the gross part of Texas, right? Lubbock, Midland, those are all very
the raw egg oil field smell out there. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and in Lubbock, it's cattle, and, you know, Midland's oil, and there's no trees. And it's just gross, right? The wind blows 40 miles an hour constantly. You constantly get sandblasted across your face. And there's good people, but there sure isn't anything else. And so I've always wanted to live in this pretty part of Texas, Central Texas. And God figured it out in crazy, miraculous ways. And that is like an 8-hour long story about how it is that we got this place, because I could tell you we were not qualified, right? Because God equips those that he calls.
That's right.
We were not qualified in any financial aspect, in any traditional form of any kind of anything, right? and God figured it out. And through that whole process, I mean, it was, of course, crazy stressful. I'm trying to sell my business and at the same time buy this one. And it's just bonkers. But I remember thinking, like, right off the bat when I started working with the banker, I told him I'm a January 6th defendant. Is that going to be a problem? And he's like, oh, no problem. And so we start going through this process, and it's intense, right? You have to submit everything, like all the stuff. I mean, it's not any more intense than doing a pre-sentencing report, because that's pretty intense. And we get to like 2 weeks out from closing, and I'm closing on selling my flower shop so that we can buy this place. And the banker calls me, and I had already had to submit my sentencing report, like of what I got sentenced by the judge.
Oh no.
And he calls me and he goes, Jenny, you were at the Capitol on January 6th? And I said, damn it, Tim, I told you this on day one. Do not tell me this is a problem now.
Like, I already told you this. Jesus.
Right. I'm like freaked out. And he goes, no. I knew you had a trespassing conviction, but I just thought that you were somebody's psycho ex-girlfriend. Like, that's what my trespassing conviction was from. And I'm like, I am. It's the government. So dumb.
Everybody's,
so anyway,
everybody's somebody's psycho ex-girlfriend, right?
That's right. Yes. So, God figured it out, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
So I do want to say, say
So
something.
we move out here, Doug and I, from 2 separate households. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I just want to say, like, you don't have to feel guilty. Like, I think we all have we all had different roles to play in this whole fiasco that was January 6th. And so while I appreciate you being willing to come to go to jail for me, I feel like God hand selected me for that. And I think that, that was my capacity to serve. That was my mission field was right there. And I feel like your job was to, be boots on the ground and to clear the way for people coming home. And I just think that I'm thankful that you have embraced that. And we all are a work in progress, as we all know. Like, we all have work to do, but like, you were walking in that, and I'm proud of you, and I'm thankful for you. And shout out to Gary McBride and to Doug, handsome Doug, a cowboy, Marlboro man out there. I'm thankful for y'all. And so you don't have to feel guilty about that. Don't carry that. Like, Jesus died for that. Like, don't carry that. Don't let that beat you up. And so, yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to say that. That was kind of on my heart.
No, thank you, because it's true. Like, we all, as much as it sucked in everybody's different capacity, right? God doesn't make mistakes.
That's right.
And that was one of the most helpful things that I ever heard right after the Capitol, when it's, constant chaos, my business getting attacked and death threats and all the psychos and all that stuff. Somebody said, Jenny, it's not like God fell asleep on January 6th and he woke up and said, Jenny did what? Right? And I'm like, thank you. That is the most helpful thing. Right?
Right.
God knew when I was 5 years old, protesting outside of Planned Parenthood, that someday I was going to go inside the Capitol when I was allegedly not supposed to be there. Right?
No, for sure.
And so, yes, we do all have our role to play. And, when Doug and I moved out here in September 23, into an operating business and things that we've never done before. It's not rocket science. It's just stuff that we haven't done before, and like getting used to it. And I can tell you that, like I said, this is my dream come true. And I had never been so suicidal in my entire life until I got my dream come true. I'd had those nights, I call it the darkness, during my case, during the prosecution, where the darkness would get too strong. And I'd start wondering if it would just be easier to take myself out of the equation. And I'm so grateful that I didn't.
I'm thankful.
The Bible says that God's mercies renew every morning. Mm-hmm. The Bible says that God's mercies renew every morning. They don't renew at night. Right? That's right. We have to get through the night until the daylight comes.
That's right.
That's a fact. I've never met anybody that was suicidal at 8 a.m. Like, think of it. I mean, it's making light of it, because I'm sure it happens, but but there's something about the darkness and the darkness that comes in.
Well,
And in
I
those
don't.
early days of, going through my case in the darkness. What, bub?
No, I was going to say I don't think people realize the gravity of the full weight and force of the federal government crashing down on you. You know, I mean, I don't think people understand like this. There's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 suicides from people watching what we went through in the jail, and then just having that. It's like a cloud, literally. And I mean, I've been in trouble before with the law, and like once you get that felony, you get out on bond, it's like there's just this cloud that just like crushes you, that's just pressing down on you, and it's like the guillotine is up there, and you see it, and you know it's coming down. You don't know when it's coming, you don't know how hard it's going to hit, and you don't know what's going to. It's the fear of this uncertainty, and especially for somebody like you, what I would call a civilian who's never been involved with the law or the judiciary, the courts. It's a devastating like weight of this just crushing you. And so I just wanted to bring light to that, because that is there. People are going through that system every single day in this country and just getting destroyed. And not only this, but they made your case out, like they came at you with a 20-year felony for the 1512. The misdemeanor is not such a big deal, but the 1512, and you don't know really till you get down to the end of those negotiations with your attorney. And I don't know how many thousands of dollars this costs you, but attorneys are not cheap. And then you've got court in DC, and they're probably not letting you Zoom it, and you got to go out there and this, that, and the other. And it's just like this whole thing. And so I just wanted to bring light to that. Go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
And it's every aspect, right? Because unfortunately, as Americans, we sat back for a really long time and we allowed the government to be involved in every aspect of our lives, right? Business licenses, taxes, like on and on and on. And loans, banking, like you name it, right? Getting to fly, all of us being on the Quad S program,
right?
The Secret Skies thing, right? Where we're basically the first level of domestic terrorists that's still allowed to fly.
Mm-hmm.
And having to go through that, like shame ritual that they do at the airport, right? Basically, where you should have seen my husband when they kept trying to pat him down over and over. Whew. It was a good time. That was the last time we flew until I fell off that list. Because Doug's like, get on in there, big boy.
Get your handful. Tell you what.
Right.
Sons of bitches.
Because he is like the Marlboro Man. He's a real cowboy. So
he is a legit cowboy.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so back to the darkness. And so in the early days, there were prayer groups on Telegram and, different things where people were praying for us. Didn't know us from Adam, right? Weren't tied to us. Didn't have a family member that was arrested, anything, just people that felt convicted to pray for us. And some of those Telegram groups saved my life more than one night in the early days. And then when Matthew Perna committed suicide, he was supposed to be sentenced like 2 weeks before I was. And 5 days before he was supposed to be sentenced, he went in the garage and hung himself. Wow. And that had a massive impact on me. And he's one of the reasons why I talk about suicide all the time, because most people won't. And it's not like it doesn't run through your mind, right? And so to go through all of the things, right, and to make it out alive from January 6th and sell my business, like get married, sell my business, move down here into an amazing business and property, and have my dream come true, and then I'm suicidal, right? Like, it'll make you crazy. I'm like, am I just being ungrateful? I know that's not it, right? I don't suffer from ingratitude at all. Right. And I believe it's because I told myself that when we moved out here, I would finally start to deal with my grief and trauma from January 6th.
I want to interject here. I think that's when the enemy knows, like, when you're fixing to start walking in your calling, it's like the enemy knows, like, I have got to take Jenny Cutt out. And the biggest way he can do that is to play on your mind and to get you to destroy yourself. And then all this stuff, this work that God had for you to do, and this beautiful mission field that God has laid out for you, that is probably that God saw before you were even born. Like, the enemy can take you out of that, and all those people you're going to help are going to be cast out there on their own or whatever. And I just think that's, and we have talked about suicide, and I think that is a very, I mean, it's something that needs to be talked about more so. But go ahead. Again.
And all of us have been through it. I think all humans have at some point, whether it's just thinking, who's going to show up at my funeral? What happens if I drive off the overpass? Something that is little or seemingly little like that you wouldn't necessarily call suicidal ideation, but the concept of, would it be less painful for me or for those that I love if I'm not in the picture? And the answer is no.
Right.
The answer is no. God gives you enough to make it through today. Just make it through today.
That's right.
And so, Doug and I come out here, we're totally overwhelmed. I'm finally starting to process my grief and trauma from January 6th. And, and that showed up in many different ways. Like, I'd wake up crying at 2 a.m., go outside, build a fire, grab a bottle of wine, and walk over to the chapel that's on my property and sit on the chapel with a roll of toilet paper and a bottle of wine until I was done, and then go back to bed.
Right.
And that's how, because you have to get it out of your body or it will come out sideways. And it will either turn into, I know there's a lot of J6ers right now that are having skin ailments, which is 100% grief and trauma related, because all of that thoughts and emotions and processes, that all goes down inside of your body. And if you can't get it back up out in a healthy way, through counseling, through church, through all of that kind of stuff, then it's going to come out sideways and either be physical ailments or panic attacks, lashing out, drinking too much, drugging too much, relationship issues, right? It's going to come out.
Right. Well,
and
can we take that's kind of a good segue. We're talking about skin issues. We got a sponsor called Sugar Creek Goods, and we want to get a word from them real quick to help you with your skin ailments. If you can run that beautiful bean footage, Maurice. Not so fresh, I use Sugar Creek Goods. Get the Freedom Bar at sugarcreekgoods.com. Sugar Creek Goods is a small family-owned business located in Indiana. Their goal is to use God's perfect and nourishing creation to produce quality, all-natural skincare products. They specialize in handcrafted, all-natural soaps and sundries, including facial toner, salt, scrubs, body butters, and many more. All products are made in the USA by American patriots. Sugar Creek Goods, crafted for the bold, the free, the American spirit.
That is no joke, the greatest ad I have ever seen.
Shout out to Leslie for putting that together. Maurice and Leslie put that together. I don't know who that actor was, but
I love it. Okay. I want you to do one for my place when you come down here.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
I got you.
And then I guess I'll have to be a sponsor on your show.
That's That's Sugar Creek.
Smell a goat.
That's sugarcreekgoods.com. Use promo code Shane. You get a 15% discount with promo code Shane. It helps support us at the show, put on the show and stuff like that. But that's a good, those people are from Indiana. They hire Americans and they make all these bars, wonderful bars of soap, but they smell wonderful and they're clearly homemade, wonderful, wonderful products. Here's Maurice. I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera or not. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
That's the Sunrise Bar right there. So whenever you got through the night and you get to enjoy another day, you got the Sunrise Bar, to accompany through your day. They got the Freedom Bar. These people have been supporting Stand in the Gap. They were donating a portion of their proceeds to the foundation, and so they've just been a wonderful sponsor. My first sponsor, my first commercial I ever got to do. So it's been a whole wonderful. But they have insect repellents. They got body butters. They have shampoo. They have I guess salt scrubs. I want to say there's other things. But go to sugarcreekgoods.com. That's promo code Shane. For 15% off and supporting the show. So yeah, sorry. Back to you, Jenny. Sorry about that.
Dude, no, that's awesome because I go through a whole lot of soap out here.
You're right. Yeah, there you go.
So we're gonna detective. That's pretty cool.
And if we can, we want to pull up your website as well, if that's
Sure.
possible. If that okay? And you can
Yeah.
kind of go ahead and tell us, like, just kind of give us the rundown about the J6 Road
I
Home.
want to
if you
start talking
can.
about that. So, yeah. So get here, start working through that grief and trauma from January 6th. And it, once we kind of settled in, I realized that, I keep saying, how do we build something big enough to house and feed and employ them when they get out of prison? And there's nobody else that's going to do that. That's my responsibility, right? I believe that it is my mission that God gave me is to help people as they build a new life. And it takes a whole lot of stuff to build a new life, right? And so we launched our website in December of last year. Pretty much as soon as I could build a website after President Trump for sure got elected for the third time, is when our website came out and started crowd fundraising off of that. Our goal is to build 5 tiny homes. So far, we have built 2. We've had 2 guys living in them for at least 3 months now. And, haven't totally finished the outside, the decks and everything like that, but they're cool houses, right?
I
They're
have
super cool.
I have stayed in one of these homes for the Memorial Day, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it. I got to sleep in bed with Gary McBride, so that was also a bonus. He's I hear him in the background. But no, we just showed some of
Very
the.
manly.
Yeah, no, it was very. I loved the. I loved it. It was awesome, and it was a time for healing. And you and I got to have a very serious conversation, and I'm so thankful for the time that I got to spend there at the 1776 bar. And there's just a lot. There's a lot there. So please go to the Road Home. This is the J6 Road Home, right?
Can your fancy producer man put some of those pictures or the website up and I can talk over it?
Yeah, go ahead. It was. Yeah, just go slowly through some of the pictures and go ahead. I'll let you finish. Oh, he put a video together for you. It's your promo video. There you go. Sorry, it was kind of loud, but there you go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so go ahead.
So
Yes.
we are, to kind of put a little meat behind it. So J6 Road Home is the only reentry program in the country for January 6 defendants. It's not a vacation for 3 months, right? That
Right.
I had to clear that up more than once.
Right.
So the contract is for 3 months at a time.
Okay.
And it's everything, right? It's jobs, housing, counseling, pastoral care. We do have access to medical and dental. We haven't needed that yet. So far, we've had 6 different people stay with us. We've got 2 guys here that have been here for, I want to say 4 or 5 months. So they're like in their second 3 months.
Okay.
It's just 3 months at a time, but that doesn't mean that, like, some people will need to be here for a year, right? So there'll be some people that also fall in love with the area and want to start their own business or get a little piece of land, build their own house, all of that kind of stuff. And we've got members of the community that are willing to help out with all of those things. And I could tell you that, like, I see like a big giant, like, Wheel of Fortune, right? Wheel, right? And everybody has their different part to play in it with January 6th and the advocates and the journalists and the family members and the community members and the J6ers, like all the different things, right? And I am so grateful that I get to be a part of the aftercare mission of helping people heal, because it is like watching miracles every day. And, I know for myself that if I paid more attention, I'd see more miracles. because it's easy for me to see the big ones.
Hmm.
You know, when some little man that lives on Social Security and is about to move and can't take his motorcycle with him finds me and asks if one of our people that stays with us would like to have his motorcycle.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Right.
that's a pretty big miracle, right? And we've got Gary
Yeah.
McBride here. And so we gave him that motorcycle like immediately that day. We went and got it. Phew, here's the keys. It's all yours.
That's awesome.
You know, so it's easy to see some of the big stuff, but there's also little stuff. Like I've had little ladies that have heard me on a show or whatever and ask if they can order me a couple sets of Mike Lindell's My Pillow sheets.
Right.
Right. And I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we've already got up until just a couple days ago, we had 4 people living here. Now we're at 2, but we're expecting the 3rd in a couple weeks. And it just changes constantly, you
Right.
know, because a lot of us, especially those of us that are vocal, right, or that are active on social media or whatever, it's easy to think that we're okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or that we're doing okay because we keep showing up and we keep running our mouths. Shane. But we are such a small amount of the J6 community.
Mhm.
And I really saw that when we had the big J6 reunion out here on Memorial Day weekend. We had 75 people show up. And yeah, some of you big name dudes were here. But there were also so many people that I'd never even heard of.
Yeah.
You know, because if you weren't arrested in that first year or got a ton of publicity or had a ton of people fundraising and writing articles and all this stuff to try to support you, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of people that got arrested in 23 and 24 I've never even heard of. I don't know anything about their stories.
Right.
I don't know how they suffered. I don't know how they too lost everything. And so for those people that none of us have ever even heard their names before,
Mhm.
right? There is such an enormous need. And I know, like, just for me going from Midland, Texas, which was like relatively conservative, right? Oilfield town, to get to live in a different town where I haven't been on the cover of the paper every week for months and months on end, right? That's really nice. Like, I feel like I've got a clean slate to start over here.
Yeah.
And to be able to provide that to somebody else who lost their business, wife divorced them while they were in prison, lost custody of their kids because they were in prison, lost their home, lost their vehicles, you know, obviously we don't have any savings, retirement, investments, like, right? That's
Right.
just not our crowd.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe someday, but I've never heard a J6er be like, well, you know, I still have a great savings account.
My 401k looks wonderful right now.
Yeah, I have not heard that yet. And so to be able to be part of that, of helping somebody in that capacity, and it's so small too, like the small, like I really mean it when I say, if you pay better attention, you'll see more miracles. Because I have seen people out here that are living with us stop having panic attacks or start to sleep through the night or get their first job after prison and not be ashamed and be proud of it. You know, or the people that stayed with us for weeks and months and then went and found their own place, you know, to live and went and bought their own vehicle and like are building their own spot in our community here. Like it's miracles after miracles. It's amazing.
Well, you remind me of my mentor, David Trickett, started Charm Prison Ministry here, I guess 12, almost 15 years ago. And he houses like anywhere from 50 to 75 men coming out of prison who've had an encounter with Jesus Christ. And they have like 8 transitional homes. So it's kind of the same concept, but I see the reward. Like you're like, I'm, you know, I want to help people, but really like you want to bless people, but really it's like, you're really getting blessed. You get to see God in action. And you're like, oh, it's like,
yes,
no wonder you keep doing it. But not,
it's amazing.
no, for real, for sure.
But it also sucks, and it's also very heavy.
Yeah.
It's very heavy.
Mhm.
I had no actual like conscious respect per se for pastors, ministers, people that have their own ministry
Mm.
until this started. And that responsibility,
Yeah.
you know, knowing that God put this on you, this is your responsibility. Now, don't get me wrong. The outcome is up to God, right?
Mm.
I do
Oh,
the
absolutely.
footwork. I do my best to do what it is that I'm supposed to do. And then the outcome in that person's life is up to God, up to them and God. But it is very weighty. It is very weighty. You know, one of our guys that's with us, his ex wouldn't let him see his kids.
Mm.
And he's a super, super gentle hearted man. And not because of anything that we've done at all. I believe it's just God business. You know, in the last few months, he's been able to go see his kids 3 times.
That's good. God is the restorer. He is the redeemer, right?
Yes.
He says he's going to replace what all the devil took away from you. And so,
Yes.
and I'm assuming it was for political reasons that he's a January 6th guy or whatever it is, or that he's been to jail or prison or whatever.
Well,
that,
you know, just the fallout from January 6th.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
you know how family drama is, right?
No, I don't have any of that, but
You don't have any of that with your babies.
five kids, 5 different moms, and no family drama here whatsoever.
Good job, Shane. Must be your redheadedness.
Gingers are black now, so
I did hear that, and I'm super stoked.
Yeah, so we're black. Fight the power, right? Me and you, gingers, till the wheels fall off.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We will make our own. We could do like a little redheaded fist.
Red hair, red Trump hair fist. Sorry.
Yes. Tell Enrique to make that also a t-shirt.
Right.
Gingers, you know.
So you have 2 tiny homes now.
Yes. So we have 2 tiny homes, and I do want to put a big shout out, thank you, to Stand in the Gap Foundation, who wrote us an enormous grant early on, back in January, and really paved the way for us to be able to get that construction. Like, let's go.
Well,
Because
can I say something to that too? That was in the honor of the 4 fallen from January 6th at Ashley Babbitt, Benjamin Phillips, Kevin Greason, and Roseanne Boylan. So there was $10,000 donated in each of their names, and so to honor them and to honor the work that you're doing, it was our honor and our privilege to be able to do that. And the people that support us and support Jan Sixers and all that, we're all, we believe in your mission, and we believe in you, and we love you, and we love Doug, and so we support that always. So I'll always back you. So
thank you. And there's going to be some really cool things that we're going to do with that in order to honor the 4. And now, of course, there's more than 4. But one of the things we want to do is, we've got this giant 35-foot flagpole right out here where the tiny homes are. And so we want to take and get a brick with every single J6er's name on it.
Oh, wow.
Except for probably Pam Tifa. Not her. But I don't know if you missed out on all the Pam Tifa drama on Twitter while you were in prison.
Pam Hemphill, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. So not Pam Tifa.
Maybe fake Lang. I don't know if that was one too.
Well, I wasn't going to throw that name out there, but you just bombed it. So now maybe Enrique will come back on it.
Sorry.
This might be the most fun podcast I've ever done, Shane. Thank you. So anyway, let's say most of the J6ers names and do a brick circle around the giant flag. And then we've already met a stone worker down here in the area. And so we're going to get a giant stone sitting bench that has the names of the 4 on there.
Nice.
And so that's how, we'll probably just put in the corner, provided by Stand in the Gap Foundation. Right? Because it was.
I like that.
In honor of each one of those 4 people. And then that way that kind of turns that area out there into like almost like a hero's reflecting garden type thing.
Yeah.
So yes, we built 2. We've also have people up all the time in other buildings on our property. And our goal is to build 3 more. And so that way we'll be able to house anywhere between 5 to 10 participants in J6 Road Home. And one of the things I want to say is, so we are in the process of becoming a nonprofit. All that stuff is not my, that's not where God put my brains. Okay. It's not in understanding those type of things. It is where he put your brains.
No. No.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
I'm totally unqualified except for he who resides in my heart. So.
Like, well, I didn't know that. And so we've got some, CPAs that have volunteered to help us with, getting all of that stuff, nonprofit status going with IRS. And because when it comes down to it, like, I hope just like all of us do, that somehow by God's grace, let's say within the next 10 years, all of the J6ers have been healed and redeemed and transformed and have healthy, productive lives and have families and businesses and whatever it is, right? That it is that they want. Because the reality is, if we all get some giant paycheck from the government, which I'm certainly not counting on, that'll be cool. But if you don't do the hard work and the internal work,
Right.
then you're just going to wind up being a really fucked up person that's got money.
And that's like throwing gasoline on a dumpster fire.
It is a bad idea, and we got a lot of people, a lot of J6ers right now, maybe not a lot, but several that are having serious drug problems, drinking too much, different stuff like that. And I get it.
Yeah.
Like, it's all a response to grief and trauma, And I just hope that people will, like, everybody needs counseling, right? It's not just us, it's the people that love us. It's the advocates. It's the good grief. Some of the lawyers that represented like 20 and 30 and 40s of us and saw the injustice over and over and over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody needs counseling, needs healing, needs deliverance, needs to work through that stuff. And so someday, right, by God's grace, all J6ers are magically healed. Then it will just be Road Home, right? It'll be Road Home Ministries, because there will always be homeless veterans. There will be women getting out of the sex industry. There's always somebody that needs help, and there's very few places that actually can give you a hand up. You want to start your own business. If you're a tradesman, this part of Texas needs tradesmen, and it's different for everybody. We've had some people only be with us for a week. We've had some people for a month, for 3 months, for 6 months. It's different for everybody. But it will always be a ministry in order to help serve others and to build the kingdom, because I think that's ultimately what we're all called to do, and whatever our capacity and our gifts are in, is to build the kingdom of God here on earth, right? Just like the Lord's Prayer talks about.
That's right. No, and like there is a short-term mission, right? Like the J6 project, or like, J6. And then there is that is the eternal mission, is to proselytize, spread the gospel, share the love of Christ, and bring people into relationship with him, right? That's the overarching theme. And I think that's, you are actively being the hands and feet of Christ. And in that vein, I share that I have had, since I've been home from prison, I have had my moments where I was suicidal, and I have struggled with alcohol and other issues since I have been home. And I quit after I went to see Bart Shively in Pennsylvania. I got in trouble. I didn't tell you this. Did I tell you that I got in trouble at the airport in Harrisburg? Yeah, not a pretty sight with Bart, man. Going through like suffering, like just body just attacking him and devouring him, and at the hands of Camp Lejeune Water, 7-year Marine. And then stage 2, when he got arrested, was supposed to get his first chemo treatment the next day. They denied him his chemo treatment. By the time they eventually let him out, which I think was probably around 2 years later, he was stage 4. And then now, it just breaks my heart and it pisses me off to no end that the government has done this to him. And now we're on the precipice of victory and he doesn't get to enjoy it. And it just breaks my heart for him. And it pisses me off that our government could do that to somebody, especially somebody that served honorably, And so I was at the airport at Harrisburg and I had been drinking pretty good. And I was walking through the airport and there was nobody within like 20 yards of me. And it was just this big like atrium and it was like sunlight shining down. And I just dropped my bags and I looked up at the ceiling and I screamed at the top of my lungs, just fuck. Like I just let it like go like as long as I could. And then I just picked my bags up and I just kept walking. And I went to the bar in the airport and had quite a few more drinks. And then they finally, I went to the gate and they were giving me a hard time at the gate. And I couldn't figure out, I wasn't rude to anybody, but I did scream fuck at the top of my lungs in the airport. And I'm sure people heard it, but I didn't think about it. And then I went to the gate. They were kind of rude to me. So I went to this restaurant to sit down and this waitress was like, hey, they want to kick you out of the airport, but she goes, I want you to drink as much of this water as you can. And I want you to eat as much of this food. Like, I want to get you whatever you want to eat. And she's like, and then she was like, what's going on? And I ran down the whole story to her from January 6th to Bart's story to my story. And she was like, oh my gosh, I understand. She's like, I understand now. Right. And so, after that, they didn't want to let me on the plane and I had to kind of go be like, look, this is what I'm dealing with. And they let me on the plane and I got home eventually. But I just realized that I was drinking because like you say, we've all gone through something. This has been a traumatic experience emotionally and mentally. I've been a wreck and I have been letting it kick the shit out of me. And I just realized that God allowed me to go through this for a reason. And it wasn't for me to have a pity party or to beat myself up over it or to mourn and to wallow in it or whatever. And it was it's time for me to get my ass in gear and to get my head on straight. And so I did quit drinking that day. And I haven't drank since then. I'm not saying that I won't drink again, but I know that I need to be in my right frame of mind and I need to have God has a mission for me, just like he has a mission for you. And I need to honor that mission and I need to have my head on straight. And then I have been blessed to be a leader in this community. And
Yes.
I owe it to the men and the women in this community to be clear-headed and to be there for them when they call me and they tell me that they're hurting because of what Bart's going through, or they're hurting because they're getting a divorce, or they're hurting because their kids don't want to see him, or whatever it is. I need to have my ass in gear and my head on straight to be able to deal with that and not to wallow in it with them, but to just talk to them and say, hey, I'm here. If you need me, if you need a place to stay, let's holler at Jenny. You can go out there and get some weekend away or whatever it is. So it is my honor and my duty to be able to do that. And so, and the talk we had played an integral part in that too. We sat down and we talked for, I don't know if it was an hour or whatever it was, but I need to have those. We need to have those hard conversations, all of us. And if you're listening to this, or if you know somebody that's in a J6er that's out there hurting or struggling with drug abuse or alcohol abuse or suicidal or whatever, please have them reach out to me or Jenny.
Yes.
But know that, your job is not to condone that, because some people are like, oh, Shane, you went through a lot. You just need to get through it. We just take the day off or do, I understand it's a difficult scenario to deal with, but telling them just go on and do it is not necessarily the right. I mean, God will work through that, whatever it is. But
and if you look at compared to, and I'm not comparing us right to the 12 disciples or to the founding fathers or to whatever, but compared to the men and the women who have truly sacrificed everything for God and for their country and made a lasting mark. And almost all of them died penniless or martyrs in horrible deaths, right?
Right.
And to me, that's true integrity is doing the right thing regardless of if anybody ever sees it or if you ever get credit for it,
That's
right? And finding those people, right? We have all had time and I haven't really said this to the J6 community yet,
Hmm.
but it is almost July, right?
Yeah.
Almost all of us, minus the 12, got pardoned in January. Most everybody got out of prison in January that was in prison.
Hmm.
It's now July, right? That's 6 months. And I'm not saying that you should be healed and on the road and whatever, but I am saying everything in moderation, right?
Right.
It's okay to blow off steam. It's okay to have fun with the guys. It's like all of that stuff is totally okay. It's when it turns into a daily thing, when you're doing
Right.
it to escape reality or to avoid having a conversation with God because maybe you don't believe in God, and that's okay because he believes in you whether you believe in him or not, right? It's one of those fun things. You know, he didn't care if you believe in him, right? It'd be cool, but you know, then it's a whole different ball game. And so I'm glad that you shared that about how almost getting kicked out of the airport because yeah, dude, if I saw somebody of your stature, right, covered all tatted up,
Hmm.
drop to their knees and scream fuck at the top of their voice in an airport, I would be like,
Something's going on.
right, I don't want to get on a plane with that man. Where are the federal air marshals? They used to follow me around. Why aren't they here anymore?
As
Right?
if I needed any problems in the airport as being a January 6th. You're like, God.
Right. And so it's, you know, I don't know about you, but I've seen like mainstream media and, you know, the alleged, like, what do they call it? Conservative Con Inc. or whatever. The famous conservative influencers and stuff. Like, we've fallen out of their purview, which is fine,
Hmm.
right? We don't need to be the center of attention. Like, we went through this.
Yeah.
And it is our responsibility to heal and move forward and help the next person with it.
That's right.
And if that is like what you have done with your life of having previously been to prison and then gave your life to Jesus and got involved in the prison ministry, that is massive.
Mhm.
That is massive because as you know, there's so many of those people that are never going to see the light of day again.
That's right.
Right. And they can hear it from you because you're one of them.
Hmm.
Just like I can talk to people that have had a parent die, get divorced, be prosecuted by the government, been suicidal, right? I can reach those people. And every single one of us has that. But the vast majority of the world expects us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, get a job, and start building a new life.
That's right.
And that's hard for so many people because, I mean, to any other J6ers out there, if your brain isn't working right now, that's totally normal.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? If you can't think straight, if you can't hold thoughts long enough, if you can't, like, you can't go somewhere and have an 8-hour job and be expected to be responsible and pay attention the whole time, right? Because our brains are fried
Mhm.
because of all of this stuff. You know, it's the ultimate betrayal, the ultimate injustice, the ultimate, like, all of the things. But there is hope and we do recover.
Yeah.
And it's a step-by-step process. And I think so long as we keep getting up every day, God will give us manna for that day.
That's right.
And that's all we have to do.
I want to say too, like without, I always like to look at I guess the metaphor is what it would be called, of the sword being made, right? And there is no forging of the sword into a deadly weapon without going through the fire. And we went through the fire, right? And so when you realize that, like, just it's part of the process, right? God is going to take all and get all those impurities out, and you're going to have to go through some stuff. Like you got to go through that fire. Like
Mhm.
that's just a part of it. And like we have stumbled into history. All of us have like wonderful, amazing stories and testimonies to share with our future generations and with our communities and with just this is a story for the ages. And so,
Yes.
but realize that your suffering is not any different than your brother and sister January 6ers. Like typically, I would say there are anomalies, but I would say for the most part, you don't have to be alone unless you choose to be alone.
Yes.
There are resources out there for you. at Stand in the Gap, we are paying for health care, which includes free counseling. And so we have Christian counselors that will help with that. We also have some drug counselors that we've been talking to in Fort Worth that are willing to help with drug therapy and stuff like that. And so we've overran the 2 hours, but if you want to share, like if you want to share your social media or your website or
Sure.
anything, and I'll give you your last words for this show.
So the website is j6roadhome.com. We have a Give, Send, Go fundraiser on there. Our local church also takes tax deductible donations on our behalf until we become a 501c3. You can also email me through there if you have something specific you'd like to donate or get involved in. I mean, it's across the country. We've had vehicles donated. There's a welding school in Oregon that's willing to put any J6er through welding school for free.
That's
right.
awesome.
Like there's crazy stuff all over the place. So please contact me through that on Twitter. I'm under Jenny Texas 1, or you could just look up Jenny Cudd. Same thing on Facebook. On Facebook, I use my married name, which is McCombs, but Jenny McCombs, or just look up Jenny Cudd and you'll find me. You can't ever really get away from Jenny Cudd. It cracks me up because, okay, so when all the Capitol stuff came out, everybody thought they were real smart in the comments by trying to be like, oh, Jenny, choose her Cudd. Right. I could hear your producer laughing because my last name was Cudd at the time.
Right.
Which is actually my ex-husband's last name. I'd never gone back to my maiden name, right? Thank God. And because they all went after his family instead of my family.
Oh, damn. Well, that's good.
And so, but I didn't ever actually understand what chewing your cud was until I moved out here and we got goats.
What?
Dude, it's a whole different ball game. I'll show you this week when you come down here.
You're a Texas girl and you didn't know that?
I am a city person that now lives in the country like Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
Calling Midland a city it's kind of a stretch.
Well, Houston isn't even America. Okay.
Midland's like a pothole in Texas.
Houston's definitely not Texas, and it might not be America.
Houston is the armpit of the country, is what it's like. Well, I just want to say it's always an honor. Again, like I said before, thank you so much for your servant's heart and for being the hands and feet of Christ and loving us right where we're at, and the grace and love that you show, like not the condescending, judgmental, but for the love you share with us, and you're sharing your family and your baby goats. I can't wait to see them. I've missed them a lot, and the beautiful chapel that you have that honors the fallen, and just if you get an opportunity and you haven't, and you're January 6th and you would like to see Jenny's place, reach out to us or reach out to her on the website, and definitely facilitate that happening. If you have an emergency, you need help or going through something, please DM me on Twitter. And unless you have anything else, Jenny, we're going to let you go, and I'm going to go ahead and close out the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, Shane. I'll see you in a few days.
Yeah, we love you.
Love you.
All right. Well, everybody, I know that kind of got deep, and it was a little bit of a dark turn, but if you are a J6er out there and you are having a hard time, please, reach me on X at the Real J6 Shane. Please DM me or comment it on a post that I put up or anything like that. Again, shout out to everybody at the Road Home and J6 Road Home, Gary, Doug, Jenny. Shout out to my producer Maurice, and thanks for everybody that was tuning in. This has been, again, sugarcreekgoods.com, promo code Shane. sugarcreekgoods.com, promo code Shane, 15% off the products there. Thank you, Sugar Creek Goods, for being our first and only sponsor of the show, but we're working on that. And man, what a blessing it is to sit here and do this with y'all. I don't feel qualified to do this, but I'm honored to do it, and I will continue to do it as long as you guys tune in. And remember, everybody, we're playing chess, not checkers.